Are you afraid of Joomla global settings? I was for years, adding component after component rather than diving into the actual fundamentals. It took me a decade of over-engineering before I threw everything overboard and returned to basics. That's when I realized I knew absolutely diddly squat about core Joomla. After stripping back to basics, I discovered that articles arranged by categories is Joomla's killer feature. Categories can be about literally anything you want. And then my eureka moment. I discovered how the Astroid framework works seamlessly with Joomla. It's like having a cabinet of your favorite herbs and spices. Start mixing and matching and you cook up truly amazing dishes, making more with less. Not convinced? What have you got to lose? Worst case, you'll master Joomla category blocks. Best case, you'll stay for the amazing Astroid magic in this tutorial and beyond. In the Joomla backend, we navigate to Content and then Categories. We see our existing categories, Uncategorized and Layout Testing. Now, Uncategorized is Joomla's default category. Everything goes there unless we specify otherwise. We created layout testing in the last episode in this series. Now we're going to rename our existing layout testing category. We click on its name and we edit the name to say chess instead of layout testing, and then we save and close. Next, we'll create 2 new categories from scratch. We click New and enter Mahjong as the title. You can add a description or note if desired, but the main thing is creating the category with a meaningful name. Save and New. We do the same for Monopoly and enter the title Monopoly, and we save and close. Here's what I want to emphasize. I want to start with a completely clean approach this time. In the previous episode, I was jumping around, setting up menus, tweaking things on the fly, and installing the Astroid framework halfway through. I ended up creating what I called a halfway house situation. If you prefer, you could call it a Frankenstein situation. Now this time, I'm working through one task at a time from start to finish. We covered article creation in detail in part 1. Now we're aiming for a total of 26 articles here, and I'm just going to walk you through the process. The key difference this time around is that we're using multiple categories instead of our single layout testing category. We created our categories in the previous chapter, renaming the layout testing to chess, and then of course we created Mahjong and Monopoly. Now in chess we have the 8 articles that I previously created, and I've also pre-prepared, if you will, 10 articles in Mahjong and 8 articles in the Monopoly category. Now, I don't want to bore you with the repetitive article creation process, so this is why I prepared these in advance. We navigate to articles and use the filter options. In the category field, we select our categories for review one by one. We select chess, and these are the articles we created in the previous episode. Let's take a minute to come in here to the first of these articles and look for the field here where we see the category which has been selected. And of course, this applies across the board in all of our chess articles. The same will apply to Mahjong and to Monopoly. We're going to get out of here and we're going to clear our search field. And we're going to search for Mahjong, and note that we have 10 Mahjong articles listed in this category. Again, checking one of these articles, we can come in to edit it and see where it is set to Mahjong. The category is set to Mahjong, and again across the board for all of these Mahjong articles. We're going to do exactly the same with our Monopoly category. And we can double check an article in the Monopoly category and see where it is also set to the category Monopoly. Clearing the filter options, we see that we have a grand total of 26 articles. The chess category with 8 articles, Mahjong with 10 articles, and Monopoly with 8 articles. This is our solid foundation for building menus using categories and articles. We'll be exploring menu item options in different sections, but for now, we've created the structure we'll populate with our categories and, more importantly, our articles. Enjoying this foundation first approach? Hit like and subscribe. I promise to keep it real and skip the fluff. Let's talk about menu structure with separator organization. Now, this isn't required by any means. It's my personal preference because I'm genuinely obsessed with boxes inside boxes. What we're going to do is create a clean organizational space where we can neatly stack multiple menus inside. Think of it as a dummy menu item, essentially a container for other items. We navigate to Menus, Main Menu, and locate the Layout Test menu item. We're going to recycle this layout testing menu, and I've got solid reasons for this approach. It was previously used to display the chess category articles, so I'm going to repurpose it. Clicking on the Layout Testing menu item, we go to the Menu Item Type, and in the System Links section, we select Separator. We give the separator a name, and I'm going to use Start Game. The alias will be auto-generated. We save and refresh the front end, and we now have a Start Game menu item that is not clickable. This Start Game menu item is our placeholder for the category menu blocks coming next, our organizational container. Now here's my second reason for this approach. Beyond the boxes inside boxes obsession, I want to start with a completely clean slate and build all 3 category menu items from scratch before getting distracted. This brings me back to my clean slate philosophy, avoiding the unexpected behaviors we hit in the previous episode. Honestly, mastering Joomla has a lot to do with methodical groundwork. And then there's the moment where everything clicks into place. Next, we're going to create those category-based menu items. We've made significant progress. We have our menu separator item, which is where we'll place our menus, and we're using category block menu items to collect and organize articles according to their respective categories. First up, we're going to create the chess menu. We click New. Now for the menu item type, we're going to click Select, and we have a pop-up menu that appears, and we expand the article section and select Category Blog. Now we see the Category Blog configuration button, if you will, and we have the option to choose a category. And of course, we need to pay attention here at this point because we now have multiple categories. We're going to select the chess category from the menu. We are also going to give this menu item a title, and we're going to call it Chess. Also important is we want to set the parent item correctly. Previously, setting it to no parent or just leaving it as no parent, the default, was a no-brainer. But now we want to put this menu inside the Start Game menu item, our optional separator. We're going to select the Start Game from the drop-down menu. Save and close. Next, we're going to create the Mahjong menu. We click New, select Menu Item Type, choose Category Blog from the Articles section, select the Mahjong category, title it Mahjong, set the parent to start game, save and close. Finally, we're going to create the Monopoly menu. Same process, new, category block menu type, select Monopoly, or rather the Monopoly category, and we title it Monopoly. We make sure that the parent is set to start game, save and checkmate. Now, switching to the front end, we notice the changes. They're subtle, but they're there. With our current Astroid template, there is a small arrow indicating submenus. This will vary from template to template, but this is our use case here. We're going to hover over the Start Game menu separator, and it's still not clickable, but we notice that submenus appear. And these menus inside menus, or as I like to say, boxes inside boxes, are clickable. Inside the Start Game menu, we have Chess, Mahjong, and Monopoly. Clicking on each one, and we see the blog articles from their respective categories displayed. All our menu items are organized under a text separator structure. This approach just makes things cleaner in my book. It's definitely not necessary and depends largely on your use case. If you're having your own eureka moment right now, that's okay. Like this video, subscribe to watch me strip back more Joomla mysteries. Right now, we have exactly the same formatting across all three category block menus. This is largely related to the settings in the Joomla Global Configuration section. But let's not forget we have the Astroid framework installed, and it's also going to play an important role in enhancing our category block layout game. Let's take the global Joomla approach. We're going to go to Articles and look for the blog featured layouts tab again. And here we see our current setup. Pretty standard, with one leading article and 4 intro articles and a 2-column layout. We see these settings reflected across all of our categories in the front end. Let's change the number of columns from 2 to 3. Save and refresh the front end. And we navigate through all 3 blog category menu items. We see exactly the same new settings applied across the board with a couple of quirks, which we're going to get to next. Taking chess as an example, we still have our single leading article up top, then 6 intro articles distributed evenly across our 3 columns. That's 2 articles per column. Let's increase from 4 to 6 intro articles to make this work properly. Now, all 3 columns are fully populated with 2 articles each, plus our leading article. 7 articles total on this page. But there's more. We have a second page with only 1 leading article. And this is kind of logical because we have 8 chess articles total as of now. By contrast, navigating to the Mahjong category, we have the same pattern, but it's different numbers. Again, the first page shows 7 articles, 1 leading, and of course 6 in 3 columns or 6 in 2 rows, depending on how you want to slice the cake. Now, the second page shows 3 articles in a similar pattern, and this category has, of course, 10 articles total. When we add more articles, this page will match the first page format. Now, this is Joomla at its best, a bit of a pain initially, but once you nail the structure, you can grow almost indefinitely and things kind of take care of themselves. And of course, the same logic applies to Monopoly. I'm going to return to the 2-column setup, but leave the intro article number at 6. Save and close. refresh, and review the changes across all menu items. Now, let's look at this from the Astroid perspective. We did, after all, install Astroid. And there's, in a way, a similar logic going on here. We can adjust how our menus look globally from the Astroid back end. We navigate to System, Site Templates, Styles, and we go to our default Astroid template, and we click on Template Options, and we're going to look for the Articles List options. Click on it, and here at first glance at least, we have admittedly somewhat more modest settings, and we can apply these across the board to all of our category blog listings. So to illustrate the point, let's do something dramatic. We're going to change the lead header heading font size from 32 to 12 and change the intro heading font size to something like 96. Doesn't make a lot of sense, but we just want to illustrate a point here. We save and refresh, and then navigate through our categories. We observe the changes applied globally. Let's switch this around in the back end to drive our point home. Save and refresh. And we see once again the results in the front end. Kind of the same, just backwards, if you will. Let's put everything back to its default, as this obviously does not make a lot of sense. Now, bear in mind that we are only touching the surface here, and things start getting really interesting at the Astroid end, at the very latest, when we start making changes at a menu by menu level. Now, one more thing. This might seem like an odd approach, switching between Joomla and the Astroid backends, and honestly, it is, I think, somewhat unusual. But here's the big picture. This is incredibly flexible and almost infinitely scalable. In the next episode, we'll start looking at menu by menu variations using a cocktail of both Joomla and Astroid settings, integrating seamlessly, and which, implemented sensibly, really go a long way towards creating something special, and I believe negates the need for many components and extensions and fluff and cruft and whatever you want to call it. And you know, at the end of the day, I really like to think of the Astroid framework as being my little cabinet of herbs and spices, and just helps me give my dishes that little extra oomph. Here's what you've mastered. Global settings from both Joomla and Astroid perspectives. Plus, if you used separators, you've got that clean nested menu organization. But this is just your starting point. The real magic happens when you customize individual menus to create distinct experiences. In the next tutorial in this series, we're creating 3 completely different menu layouts using strategic Joomla and Astroid combinations, each with its own personality, reusable as templates. That's the beauty of this approach. Master the fundamentals and the variations are endless. See you in the next one.